Shalom. I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and double honors to the apostles and elders of comest that taught us his word. Last night America, celebrated its Independence Day. The 4th of July celebration from the British. And you had a lot of Jakes, a lot of Negroes that took part, in that celebration as well. But, that's not really a holiday that Jake should be taking part in. Because we were in slavery when the Constitution was signed, when this war was fought. We were still, third class, second class citizens. And a lot of Jakes that did fight in that war, they weren't really recognized for their bravery. You hear about some of them, but I have a couple of examples here. But at the end of the day, we were still slaves. We weren't really considered citizens. If you have the day off, most people have the day off, that's cool. Take the day off, barbecue or whatever. Get with some friends, some family, that's fine. But you really shouldn't have this patriot spirit. Because America isn't our homeland. We're cursed in this land. There's only so much we can do. There's only so far we can go. We kill each other every day. We don't trust each other. We have an evil eye towards each other. And we have enemies in this land as well. All these other nations are confederate against us on this side in this time. So you really shouldn't have a whole patriotism spirit about you. You do what you do to get by. You get your little job, get your woman. You live your life. But this land isn't something that Jake should be celebrating. But I have two examples of a couple of warriors, ex-slaves that took part in this war, but their ending wasn't. They didn't really have a happy ending. They fell under these curses. This is from blackpast.org. A man by the name of Peter Salem. Peter Salem was a patriot of the American Revolutionary War who spent 2 months fighting alongside his former owners at the battles of Lexington and Concord in Massachusetts. Salem is credited with killing British Major John Buchanan during the Battle of Bunker Hill. Peter Salem was born and enslaved in Framingham, Massachusetts on October 1st, 1750. He was owned by Army Captain Jeremiah Belknap and spent most of his early life working on his owner's farm. Early in 1775, Salem was sold to a patriot soldier, Major Lawson Buckminster, who emancipated Salem so he can enlist in his regiment of Massachusetts Minutemen. Skipping down, Major General George Washington had first issued an order forbidding African Americans from enlisting, but when Washington heard that the Royal Governor of Virginia, Lord Dunmore, had promised freedom to all patriot slaves willing to enlist in the British Army, he canceled the order and sent out the call to arms among African Americans. Salem re-enlisted for another year in the 4th Continental Regiment, which fought in New England, New York, and New Jersey. So the reason why Jake was able to enlist, because the British was going to offer them freedom over in Britain. So America really wasn't up for giving up their slaves. That was just a front. So they can keep slavery over here, keep Jake from flooding the country. Uh, Peter Salem died on August 16th, 1816, at a poorhouse, in Framingham, Massachusetts, at the age of 66. In 1882, the townspeople of Framingham, Massachusetts, erected a monument in his memory at his burial site at the old burying ground in Framingham. Next guy is a man by the name of Salem Poor. Salem Poor was a patriot of the American Revolutionary War, credited primarily for his participation at the Battle of Charleston, now popularly known as the Battle of Bunker Hill. Poor was born into slavery in Andover, Massachusetts, on a farm owned by John and Rebecca Poor. So that also proves that slavery just wasn't in the South. You had slavery in the North as well. But they only want to tell you that it only happened down, in the South area, southern states. But slavery was up in the North too. He spent his early years in servitude to the family, and in 1769, at the age of 22, he purchased his freedom for £27, the equivalent of 1 year's salary at that time, and about $5,600 today. Poor married Nancy Parker in 1771, a free mulatto woman with both Native American and African American ancestry. Parker was a maidservant to Captain James Parker. Salem and Nancy had a son, Jonas, who was baptized in 1776. The British were aware of the Colonel's presence, and after 3 separate attacks took over the fort, but with significant casualties. It is in the battle that Poor gained his notoriety. In John Thumbrow's famous painting, Battle at Bunker Hill, British General Joseph Warren has been fatally wounded, and British Lieutenant James Abercrombie was lying dead at his feet. Poor is credited with killing Colonel Abercrombie as well as numerous British soldiers. In 1793, Poor turned up in the Boston almshouse, which by today's standards would be a homeless shelter. He was jailed briefly in 1799 for breach of peace and married a 4th time to an unknown woman in 1801. Salem Poor died in 1802 at the age of 55. And was interred at Copp's Hill Burial Ground near Boston, Massachusetts. Salem Poor, gallant soldier, was honored with his image on a 10-cent stamp, a 10-cent postage stamp, as part of the Postal Service Revolutionary War bicentennial series of stamps entitled Contributors to the Cause. So, what did both these men have in common? Let's read, it's the book of Deuteronomy 20:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee to this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Skip down to verse 19. Cursed shall thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shall thou be when thou goest out. Both these men were born into slavery, and they all died poor, in poverty, impoverished. And they all died at a relatively young age as well. Like this man, Salem Poor, died at 55. He's not a young man, but he should have lived till maybe 65, 70, 80. Same thing with this man, Peter Salem. He was born into slavery and died in a poorhouse. the age of 66. Both these men were cursed coming in. They're cursed going out. And what does the Most High say about a man that, a man of war that suffereth poverty? Well, this is Ecclesiasticus 26 and 28. There be two things that grieve my heart, and the third maketh me angry: a man of war that suffereth poverty, and men of understanding that are not set by, and one that returneth from righteousness to sin. The Lord prepareth such an one for the sword. So yeah, man, that grieves the Most High. These are both men of war, valiant men that contributed to the winnings of these battles, and they both died poor. So America didn't really care about them at the end of the day. They gave him a little memorial, put him on a stamp or whatever, erected a statue, but these guys weren't really given what they needed. Curse going in, curse going out. But yeah, I just wanted to speak on these two men in remembrance, of this 4th of July holiday, and how, we really shouldn't have that patriot spirit, because at the end of the day, here in America, we're all cursed. This isn't our land. This isn't our time to be, patriots and celebrate who we are, because, Most High took our heritage. He took our land from us. This is the time that we need to be searching the Most High 10 times more, going back to the Father, going back to our heritage, so that when America's destroyed, or before America's destroyed, the elect can get up out of here, so that we can have our own homeland, so that we can be patriots, for Israel, and come back to who we are as a people. But right now we're lost. 2/3 of Israel, Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, they're gone. They're completely destroyed already mentally. They just need to be destroyed physically. But yeah, with that, shalom.